as you try to learn how to navigate through life, especially when it comes to creating the life that you want, I want to share with you the basis of why you are already a master of manifestation, of materialization, of attraction, right? Of even frequency, and aligning yourself with the frequency of the future self, right? That you desire to be. Now, in my previous video, I talked about you being the center of the universe from a consciousness point of view, not so much of an egotistical point of view. And I want to elaborate more on that. But really, the basis of this content, this video, is really to ask you a question and then for you to contemplate it, to run with it. Because what I've learned throughout my spiritual journey, over 30 years of spirituality and studying various things and religions, is that the most powerful practice that you can have is to wonder, is to contemplate, is to think about things, not from a standpoint of trying to either prove it or disprove it, but just wonder if there is some fundamental truth within it. Okay, because that's going to expand your mind and allow you to accept and identify your infinite consciousness, right? Because the reality is all things that exist, especially points of view, concepts, ideas, theories, they all exist and they all are real to some in various degrees in this universe. You simply have to ask, is it something that resonates with you, right? And is it something that you're going to back with your belief? Because many of us think that our beliefs are basically bigger than us, right? You think that your belief in this is something that's bigger than you, therefore you're following behind the belief. But actually, in actuality, it's the other way around. You see, in actuality, the belief, right, is the foundation of the belief is you. Okay. You are the thing that makes the belief powerful. You are the thing that makes the belief actually work. You see? So when you recognize your power, right, as a divine being, you see that you are the prototype, the foundation, you are the pillar by which your reality stands on. So when I talked about in a previous video how you are the center, right? You are the center of this entire universe, and that everything you experience, right, is really a reflection from you, right, throughout the universe to the universe, and thus the universe will reflect it back to you. So it always starts and ends with you. Now, when we think about you and your beliefs, right, we can get into literally everything, but we're going to get into the big things, right? Your belief on, let's see, God and religion, right? That's a big one for a lot of people. Your belief on money is a big one for a lot of people. Your belief on love, right, and relationships. And we can even get into your belief on health, right? Those are the big heavy hitters of life. What I want you to understand is that it is not that money is bigger than you and you have to essentially figure out, right? It's not like you have to bow down to money, okay? God and religion is not like you have to follow a particular, right, idea of God or a religion in order for you to tap into your spirituality. It's not like you have to love or find a particular person, right? Or it's not that relationships are hard, right? Or that you can't trust people, right? It's not that you have to eat a certain particular way, whether it be you have to eat veganism, you have to eat, you know, a keto diet or caveman diet or any other thing, right? What most of us are doing is we are looking for something bigger than us to follow. Okay. And it doesn't work like that. How it actually works is it starts with you believing in something, having an identity, right? An understanding of who you are. And then everything else, how you think about it, is what creates the reality that you experience. So, how you think about money, it starts with you first. How you think about money is creating the reality of money for you to experience that thought. Okay. It starts with you. How you think about God, right? Or how you or what you were taught and accepted about God is essentially the experience you have of God. How you think about love, relationships, people, right, is essentially how you experience love, relationships, people. And we can keep going with health, right? Same thing applies. If you think it is difficult to eat healthy, if you think eating healthy or going vegan is expensive, that is the reality you are creating for yourself. So it starts with you and what you believe, right? Sets out the frequency of you experiencing that reality. Okay. Really take a serious look at this and understand how it all happens. It doesn't happen with you looking to something else, right? Money, love, health, spirituality, looking for the answers, okay? As if the answers are outside of you. It is actually the other way around. You have the answers. You are the answers, okay? You are the answers. And then from within yourself, do you decide or identify with the state of being that resonates with who you truly are or the state of being that you desire to experience? Thus, you create that reality. You see? Now, as we get into that, and today's presentation is going to be a little bit shorter than usual, maybe, but sometimes I go in a tangent a little bit. So let's do it this way. So here's my question. And this question is going to be one that I please invite you to comment below with your answer, with your idea. And for those of other people who comment and maybe, opposite of you, they may think differently than you, please be respectful. This is a journey of what works for you. This is a journey of self-discovery and self-realization. Okay. So this is for you. And then this is for us to come together to help each other expand. Okay. Now, because we established that you are the center of the universe, okay, you essentially are the foundation, the backbone, the beginning of your belief about God and religion, right? About money, right? Bills. Let me put spirituality in here because not all of us are religious, love, relationships, right? Family. Then we can put here, ethical issues. We can put politics. Again, we put health, right? Fitness, diet, right? Ultimately, lifestyle, right? So this is you in a center. You are the center of all these things. You are the center of what you radiate and what you put out as far as your belief systems. So here's the thing. When it comes to we're gonna really focus more on God, religion, and spirituality. Now, this may be a trigger for some of us, right, who are identified strongly with religion and strongly with their belief about God. Now, here's the thing. Your idea, your understanding, your belief about God is unique to you. Okay. Though we have, many religions, okay, you may consider yourself a Christian, right? But here's the thing. There are no two Christians that are exactly alike. Everybody still, even though they may share the umbrella of Christian, everybody sees Christianity different. Everybody lives Christianity differently. Okay. Why is that? Because it is based on you being an individual. Okay. Being unique. Okay. Everything comes from your perspective. Okay. Your perspective, your point of view. Everything comes from your perspective, your point of view. So this is one of the reasons why I was telling my son yesterday, I don't do debating. Okay. I'm not interested in debating with people. Me and him, he came to me to ask me a question about two anime characters. Which one would beat the other? And so he had his points, I had my points, and then he kept going. And I'm like, hey, I'm not interested in debating with you because I know that you're locked into your belief system and therefore I can't change it. I'm locked into my belief system. You're not going to change it. So if you ask a question, I'm going to give you a fun answer, but my intention isn't to change your mind, right? If that is your belief system and that's what you feel, great. We can have a discussion, we can play a lot with it, but I'm not going to get hyped up and intense about it. But we find that in religion, especially in topics of God, that people will debate, people will actually go to war over their religious beliefs. And it's unfortunate because of all the things here, the spiritual religious beliefs are supposed to be the most peaceful, right? And when it comes to our lives. But anyway, what I'm wanting to get across here is that your idea of your religion or your spiritual practice is yours and yours alone. And that will never change. Why? Because it would always come from your perspective and your point of view about that topic. You see? So yeah, you can read, and you can read the Bible. You can read one single verse, right? One text and come up with completely different. Chances are you will come up with completely different ideas of what it's trying to tell you and what it means. Why? Because you are filtering it out from your point of view, from, your spiritual connection, from, your conscious intelligence, from your subconscious experiences and programs, right? From your unconscious issues or lack thereof, or healed trauma, right? Or unhealed trauma from your ego, right? We have a lot of people who read from the Bible through the filter of their ego. So you have those things and all the possible ratios and variations of those things in combination, right? That we filter through. So, and then you are just simply unique. I mentioned consciousness. You are just unique. There will never be another you. There has never been another you. Okay. So all of these things are essentially mirrors, right, of you within that particular topic. So let me get to the question, right? The question is, even as it relates to God, because we all have our beliefs on what God is. And, some people come from the religious point of view, especially Christian and Islam and, You know, if, since all of these things are essentially reflections of you, if you did not exist or ceases to exist, what happens to all these other things? If all of these things are reflections of you, right? If your belief on God being this infinite conscious being and this and that, right? This, I say God would be the biggest thing for all of us. Maybe God. And if maybe you don't believe in God, then it's probably love, or if it's being ethical, being a good person, or it can be just simply health, right? Just acknowledging your physical body and respecting it and taking care of it. But for the most part, most of the majority of people will say God is the top tier, absolute, most important topic and thing. And so everybody has different ideas of God, which is interesting, right? Because we all say that God is the most important. And yet, God, if we were to ask each and every person, what is God, you're going to get a different answer. Okay. You may get the same, like, God is love, right? But if you ask people to elaborate and talk more about it, you're going to get different answers. You're going to get a different picture of what God is. And I believe that God is all those things because God is everything. But you will have people argue that their belief about God is the right belief. So that's very interesting, right? Now, if you weren't here, if you would have ceased to exist, and when I say you, I'm talking about consciousness, right? I'm not talking about your body. We know your body is going to change, transform. You're going to transcend this physical form. But your consciousness, the part of you, the core of who you are, will continue to go, right? Will continue to move on and have different experiences in different realms. But still, so even if your consciousness, right, were to not exist, the part of you that is experiencing everything, the part of you that believes in God, if you don't exist, does God exist? If you don't exist, right, does the universe exist? You may say yes, but how do you know if you're not here to actually have the experience of it? This is why I'm saying you, right, are the center of the universe, because without you, there is no universe to experience. This is the crazy thing, right? When you get into it, my goodness, this is beautiful. If you are not here, then none of these things exist. Now, yeah, you may say, well, Peter, you know, if I don't exist, then great, Peter, you still exist. So the universe still exists for you. I agree with that. But that's not what we're talking about, right? We're talking about your individual experience because you cannot experience me. Okay. The truth of the matter is, even the idea of me, how you see me, is from the point of view, the perspective of you. Okay. So even though, yes, to me, my reality, my universe of all of these things exist because I exist. But we're talking about you. This is the thing with spirituality. And this is the thing I think many people forget and drop the ball on, is that spirituality is about you. It's about your journey. It's about what you're experiencing, how you are interpreting, how you're perceiving, how you're defining, how you're adding meaning to things. Okay. And then expanding upon those things. Expansion. Okay. So it is always comes to you. Always. It is a very, very selfish experience because it is about the self. But you recognize that even, I talk about relationships. These are where other people play a role, right? When you recognize that you are the filter, you are the catalyst, you are the beginning of your relationships, it then changes how you deal with other people. Okay. So some people may be like, well, if I'm the center of the universe, then all those other people I should care about, right? If spirituality is selfish, I shouldn't care about those people because it doesn't matter. Okay. But it does matter because when you recognize you are the center and whatever you put out radiates back to you, then you're going to make sure in the category of love, relationships, family, and exchanges with other people, you're going to see that if they, and this topic is a reflection, will reflect back to you what you're putting, you're going to understand that being friends, being kind, being, creating connections and bonds with people is going to bring great joy and satisfaction to your life, right? As long as you cultivate a belief that allows you to see them as expressions of God, to see them as beautiful divine beings as well, who are also on, generally speaking, the same path as you are, which is self-realization, okay, which is recognizing that they themselves are the center of the universe that they are creating, that they are existing in. So I want you to understand is that when it comes to all of these topics, right, that we stress out about, we trip out about, we get anxiety, we get depression, we feel like we're not worthy, we feel like we ain't worth nothing, like whenever we get into these different topics and categories, I want you to understand that you set the tone for all these things because you are the most important factor and element of all these things. So if money is tight, okay, will change your frequency with money because you recognize that money needs you more than you need it. Okay. So you recognize that money is, yes, a mirror. It is going to reflect back to you, but it's going to reflect back to you a sense of respect and also indifference because it doesn't care, right? It doesn't attach itself to wanting to behave a certain way, right? When it comes to you, it just simply reflects what you give it and what you put into it, your belief systems about it. So you have to understand that, hey, I'm more important. I'm the one that gives money the power. I'm the one that gives money the functionality, right? So what right, believe about money is going to come back to you. So if you have issues with money, if you worry about money, if it disturbs your peace and your well-being, that means it's because you put money above you. Okay. And it is not. In actuality, none of these things are above you. Okay. Now, I know you may be saying, well, damn, Pete, you say God is not above me. What I'm saying is you and God are one. Okay. And your belief about God isn't above you because your belief will change. And this is the thing. Our beliefs about what God is conceptual. Now, when you get to a point of recognizing that God is everything and that God is not, some guy in the clouds floating down judging people, when you realize God is love, when you realize God is neutral, right? And God has already given us everything we need and that God is within us, it starts to break down different belief systems. And you start to recognize, oh, wait a minute, my understanding and my idea of God is changing. Why? Because your belief system, though it is the power that gives things the ability to manifest and materialize realities, it is you that determine how that works. It is you that puts out, right, what that belief system is. So you have to understand that the grand idea of God, right? The creator, the universe is, you know, is bigger than you in the sense that you are a spark from it, but you are the same as it. So when we talk about the fundamental truth of God, right, that is the same as you, okay, and still bigger. But when we talk about our belief systems and the paradigms around God, such as religion, such as even spirituality, such as what does God look like, those things are concepts that we will eventually break through along the journey of spirituality. So you essentially set the tone for all these beliefs. They're not bigger than you, okay? You are, in fact, bigger than everything here. You see? So getting back to the question, all right? And I want to leave you with this question by the end of this video, which I'm going to conclude right now, is that if you do not exist, meaning you as consciousness, not you in a physical body, if you consciousness, right? Awareness, right? If you consciousness, awareness does not exist, does the universe exist? Does your universe exist? Does the universe that you are experiencing now, does it exist? Remember that the universe you are experiencing now is a reflection of your consciousness, is a reflection of your point of view, your perspective. Okay? So that is the question I'm going to leave you with. Going deep into this question, again, it allows you to gain perspective on how you think about money, how you think about love and relationships, how you think about ethical issues, politics, how you think about health, how you think about God, religion, spirituality, essentially how you think or how you are creating your reality, your universe. You see, when you recognize that without you, all of these things don't exist. So that means you are the key. You are the center. Okay. And if you are the center, your job, in order to bring balance and love to all those things, your job is to be centered. Okay. That's it. That's it. So as it pertains to the future self frequency, when you purchase this book, when you get into the journal, it will, trust me, expand your consciousness and your awareness, allow you to break free of those limitations, limiting beliefs, the paradigms, and really understand you, understand the truth of you, the essence of you, the core of you, the beauty of you, the power of you. Okay. So I invite you, go to futureselffrequency.com, purchase the book, purchase the journal. Okay. And I want to thank everybody who's already purchased. I really appreciate you taking a chance and understanding that this is profound wisdom and knowledge that is going to definitely make an impact and change in your life. All right. So thank you. If you want to get the first chapter of this book, The Future Self Frequency, go to drabundant.com, subscribe to my daily newsletter, and you'll get the first chapter absolutely free. So you'll see for yourself just how amazing this book is. Thank you so much. Peace and abundance always.